Hey there, ladies. It's Kim Danger, and I help women over 40 lose weight through nutrition and mindset. And today I wanted to talk to you about carbs and why assessing your current intake might just be the key to unlocking more energy, curbing those annoying cravings, and finally feeling in control of your diet. So, why should we even care about our carb intake? Let's face it, carbs are everywhere, and despite what you hear about them, they're not the enemy, but too much of the wrong kind can be. So, let me explain. Maybe you've noticed those mid afternoon energy crashes, cravings, or stubborn weight gain, especially around the middle. All of that could be connected to not only the amount of carbs you're eating, but the type of carbohydrate they are. And finding that right balance starts with awareness. So, let me show you how to assess your carb intake in just a few steps. First of all, you're going to want to keep a food journal. You could write it down, you could use an app, but for 4, 5, 6 days, I want you to track everything that you eat and drink. You need to include portion sizes and be very specific. So, apps like MyFitnessPal and Chronometer are great, and they do that for you, but you could just grab a notebook and write it down. Next, we want to calculate your carb intake. Like I said, those apps are great and they will even do that for you. But if you've written it down, you need to crunch the numbers. The best and easiest tool right now is using ChatGPT. I'm serious. All you have to do is type in your food log and tell it to estimate your total and net carbs for the day. And this is where it gets really eye opening. Many of us don't realize how those little snacks and extras add up over the day. Some people who think they're being really diligent with their diet and wondering why they can't lose weight are finding that they're eating way more carbs than they should be. Let's take a look at what's really happening. Are most of your carbs coming from processed foods like bread, pasta, and sweets, crackers, snacks, that kind of thing? Or are your meals balanced and your carbs mainly coming from vegetables and fruit? Do you notice a time of day, maybe late afternoon or evening, where carbs tend to creep in? This isn't about judgment, it's about analyzing the patterns that you're experiencing right now and getting clear on what's working and what's not. Next, I want you to just check in with your body. Here's the big one. How do you feel? Are you typically crashing after meals? Are you always hungry an hour later? Or are you feeling satisfied? Take note of your energy levels, your hunger, and even your mood throughout the day. Reflection is a huge key to understanding how carbs are affecting your body. And so once you have that data, you can adjust your carb intake based on your goals. So here's what I recommend. For weight loss, you want to stick to under 100 grams of carbs per day, probably closer to that 50-gram mark. And when you're focusing on veggies, a little fruit here and there, and small portions of those starchy options like sweet potatoes, you're going to do okay. For maintenance, aim for 100 to 150 grams of carbs a day. And for active lifestyles, if you're super active, you can even bump it up to 150 grams or more with some nutrient dense carbs like sweet potatoes, quinoa, etc. So, in order to do this, you don't have to overhaul everything overnight. You can start small. You can swap out your white bread with a sprouted or whole grain bread. You can replace a sugary snack with fresh fruit or a handful of nuts. And keep in mind, you'll always want to pair your carbs with protein and healthy fat. That stabilizes your blood sugar and helps keep you full. Making adjustments in your diet is not about perfection, it's about awareness. So that's why I really encourage you to figure out what your baseline is. How many carbs are you eating right now? And only from that point can you make simple, sustainable changes that align with your goals. Trust me, if you stick with it, those small shifts add up to big wins over time. So grab that notebook or app and start tracking. Let's get real about what we're eating, why it matters, and how we can use this knowledge to feel stronger, more energized, and in control.